If you have been eagerly awaiting the next episode of debunking Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues series, then you need not wait no more. This is that video. This week he's called it The Magic Show. The only magic you need, Mark, is trying to make your model work in reality. Here we go. Hello all and welcome along to another video with me, Simon. Thanks very much for joining me. Before we begin with today's video though, a massive thank you to the sponsors, Saily. Saily is a new eSIM service app where you can choose from several different affordable eSIM plans in over 190 countries and 8 regions. With a Saily eSIM, you'll always have a connection when needed. Now I'm running the Athens Marathon in November. I cannot wait. But the last time I was in Greece, the internet signal on my phone left a lot to be desired. So this time I'll be installing a Saily eSIM. An eSIM provides you an internet connection wherever you travel and saves you money on roaming fees. And it's super convenient. Once the Saily eSIM is installed to your phone, there's no need to install a new eSIM for each country. All you need to do is download the Saily app on your mobile device. The eSIMs are compatible with both iOS and Android. Then you pick a plan from the multiple plans from over 190 countries and 8 regions. As you can see, there's plenty of options here for Greece. Then you can apply your coupon code to get a 15% discount on top, and then follow the instructions on the app to install the eSIM. The Saily eSIM will be activated instantly after landing, and you'll be able to easily connect to the local network. If prior to your trip, you follow the steps on how to activate your Saily eSIM. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use the code SIMANDAN at checkout, download the Saily app or go to saily.com/SIMANDAN. Thanks again to Saily for sponsoring. Right, on with today's video then, which is from Mark Sargent and his Flat Earth Clue series. If you haven't seen any of these yet, or you've missed some episodes, there is a playlist available. I'll link that in the description so you can check out any of the episodes you want at your leisure. On with this particular episode though, which is episode 9, and Mark calls it The Magic Show. Let's see exactly what he means, shall we?
This flat Earth perspective initially started out as a problem-solving exercise that was going to be built into Clue 7, otherwise known as the Long Haul. But after some research and a little patience, it has evolved into something that warranted its own section, and is a perfect example of good things come to those who wait. So emails and phone calls have been coming in, almost all of them positive. Several people from around the world commented on the southern plane routes. They said that while 95% of the long routes in that hemisphere were connections, which in itself raises red flags.
Well, it doesn't though, does it, Mark? Because those connections are made through the airline's home country. Commercially, that makes sense.
There were a few pesky non-stops that seemed to contradict the overall logic. The question then posed to me was obviously, are they real flights? Could they be put there to throw the Flat Earth group off? If it was a trick, could I figure out what it was and how it was accomplished?
Yes, because of course this is what multinational airlines and aviation authorities are doing with their time, faking flights just to wind you guys on YouTube up. Sometimes I think Mark fails to see the world outside of his bubble.
I accepted the challenge and started my impression of Morgan Freeman as he went up against the Four Horsemen magician crew. Now, admittedly, I was skeptical to start, because the flights went against the third rule, that being the flat Earth has no shortcuts. Only a globe has shortcuts. As in magic, I had to assume the rule was not being broken, but only hidden, or having the illusion of being broken. But first, I had to see the trick itself. I had to see the planes in question and see them make the route.
Of course, the thing is, flights are trackable in real time. I wonder if that's what Mark is thinking here. Passengers board, fly the route and disembark in different continents. If this illusion is so good that literally every airline pilot and flight tracker and GPS system agrees with it, maybe it's not a trick, maybe it's just reality, Mark.
Anyone can list a flight, but does it actually go from point A to point B? With the help of several other people, this was then put to the test. While just about everyone with a cell phone knows about GPS and how it can track things, many people don't know that even though it's a system built by the military, there is a very public aspect to it. So while your phone is tracked at all times, so are other things, most notably all air traffic. Now, if you're military, you could view military planes. If you work at a cargo carrier like UPS or FedEx, you can view transport planes. The general public is mostly limited to commercial air traffic. This can be viewed in several places, and the one I chose was planefinder.net.
So Mark is going down the route of tracking actual flights. Very interesting. I wonder where this will lead.
You can use others like FlightAware, Flight Radar 24, Flight Tracker. It makes no difference because they are all tied into the same exact GPS system. All these sites do basically the same thing. Track every commercial plane in the world from start to end in real time. So I spend day after day looking at the Plane Finder global map, which you see here. At any given time, it's tracking between 3,000 to 7,000 flights that are en route anywhere in the world. You'll notice two different colors for planes, red and yellow. Yellow just means there's a 5-minute delay in processing and only applies to the United States. The point here is, in order to prove out these flights that go against flat Earth theory, I need to watch a few as they cross either the South Pacific or Indian Oceans.
Let's pause here and just admire the irony. He's using real-time data from orbiting satellites to argue that space and the globe are fake. He's trusting thousands of independent data points, tracked by multiple companies across the world using GPS, but still saying, well, it could be all part of an illusion. Simply amazing.
The web page updates automatically, but just to be sure, I close and reopen the page every 30 minutes or so and wait for an ocean plane. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait some more. Hours pass, days pass, and no red planes to entertain me.
That's funny because I opened Flight Radar whilst writing this script, looked at the Southern Pacific, and wouldn't you know, there was a plane flying across from Sydney to Santiago. 5 seconds that took me, 5 seconds.
And somewhere in this process of me just staring at these empty oceans, waiting for a plane to cross, something occurs to me. Can you guess what it is? Nothing is crossing these oceans. Not non-stops, connections, multiple connections, nothing.
I think I know what happened, Mark. You didn't zoom in enough, did you?
But that's not possible, right? The planes have to reach their destinations. So I change gears and just watch the coastlines of anything in the southern hemisphere, and I start to see it. I follow a simple plane out of Brazil on its way to South Africa, which, by the way, is not part of the long-haul argument. It's offshore just a few hundred miles. I get something to drink, and when I come back, it's gone. Just a glitch, right? So I follow another, and another, and the same thing happens again and again. Once the plane reaches an imaginary line in the water, GPS makes it disappear.
Well then, mystery solved. The Earth is flat, airlines are lying. Or, and here's a wild thought, maybe we're just seeing normal transoceanic radar coverage gaps, which were well documented and well understood. Certainly back when this video was made in 2015. When the planes would fly across oceans, particularly vast empty stretches of the South Atlantic or Pacific or Indian Ocean, they'd often leave traditional ground-based radar coverage. During this time, the tracking sites would then rely on the ADS-B transponder data, picked up by a network of receivers mostly located on land. If no receivers were in range, the signal would drop out. Temporarily. The plane doesn't vanish, it's just out of line of sight coverage. The data would pick back up again when the plane would get in range of another receiver, often closer to the destination coastline.
Then a friend who is also working on this problem sends me some links, which I've included in the description. I encourage you to take a look at them. At first, they don't seem like much, just an average flight log showing speed, altitude, locations, things you could expect. Then you scroll down to about 3:30 in the morning, and the location drops away and is replaced by either the word approximate or the word estimated. This then continues for the next 5 hours until, miraculously, 1 hour before landing, the flight log reestablishes itself, and the GPS system shows the plane in real time about to reach its destination.
The word estimated isn't secret code for we made this all up. It literally means we lost live tracking, so here's our best guess based on all the data we know. Now, Mark has made a mistake here. He's assuming that any temporary loss of positional tracking means that either a flight didn't happen or took some other mysterious route. But in reality, every pilot and air traffic controller and passenger for that matter knows that the flight was perfectly normal and there was nothing shady going on.
So to be clear to those who may not be seeing everything here, the flights are being dropped off GPS.
And this is your issue, Mark, because those flight tracking sites don't use GPS explicitly to see where the plane is. They use GPS derived positions from that ADS-B data I mentioned earlier.
And their flight data is also turned off and stays off until they are almost on top of their arrival point. And you say, well, that's how GPS works. Well, no, because the Northern Hemisphere has planes flying all over their oceans.
Yes, because the Northern Hemisphere has way more ground receivers. There's more flights, more infrastructure and better coverage.
And then you say that maybe it's a localized Southern Hemisphere thing. And I say, then why are all the flights over or near land perfectly tracked?
Let's say it again slowly for the people at the back of the flat earth bus. Land equals places to put receivers. Ocean equals wet. No place to put receivers.
Furthermore, this is a US-based system with Americans flying on vacation every single day. You're telling me that those people aren't going to be tracked?
The flight tracking sites are not government-run air traffic control systems. They are consumer-facing websites, built on a patchwork of crowdsourced data and ADS-B receivers. They don't care where the passengers come from.
In addition, the Vanishing Plane Act is happening to not only the South Pacific and Indian Oceans, which I would expect, but also the South Atlantic, which isn't part of the flat Earth argument.
But it is part of mine as to why the planes would drop out sometimes.
There are a bunch of flights that cross this relatively small ocean between South America and Africa, and every one of the planes is hidden shortly after takeoff.
The thing is, Mark, today, 10 years later, there are now receivers in orbit that pick up ADS-B data from planes anywhere on Earth, whether that be over oceans or polar regions or anywhere else. This gives real-time coverage, even in places where ground receivers can't reach. That means your video is out of date and incorrect. It was incorrect even when you made it for the reasons I mentioned earlier, of course. And that is why we're going to wrap this one up now. No need to do any more, I guess. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode from Mark Sargent. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another episode of Debunking Flat Earth Clues. Thanks so much for watching today. As ever, it's appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. Just enough time to once again thank Saley for sponsoring today's video. Remember, get an exclusive 15% discount on Saley data plans. Use the code SIMANDAN at checkout. Download the Saley app or go to saley.com/SimanDan. I've been SimanDan. Have yourselves a great day and I'll see you tomorrow for a flat Earth sun model. Should be interesting. See you then.